Hello, so today we're going to be going over an Enforcer game. So Enforcers, it feels like a very high roll comp. It is very tempo based, that you're usually trying to level up really fast and kind of steamroll the lobby. But this was a game where I just found myself in a good Enforcer spot, which I'm going to describe my early game as well as my mid game of how it worked out. This is going to be a VOD review, so I'm basically going to be going over the game. I've had people ask like, hey, make more content where you go through round by round, unit by unit. That's what these VOD reviews are for. So if you like my content and you want to see me go through the games, these are the type of less popular videos, but they're very informative about like my decision making process throughout many of the game, or throughout much of the game. Anyways, so let's go through this. Enforcer is a very high cap and very strong comp, and it can often win the games because it caps very high at level 9. So a lot of times, like if you're playing around it, when you're playing Enforcers, you're typically trying to just play all the Enforcer units to get up to 6 or 8 Enforcer with an emblem. And a lot of times you're basically just trying to find everybody upgraded and eventually hit a Caitlyn, right? Caitlyn is the big one that you want to try and get to. So eventually late game, you'll swap out one of your units, you'll play 6 Enforcer, and then there's lots of synergies you have with a lot of the 5 costs, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we get there. But I do want to show you this early game. I don't think committing towards Enforcers early is a good idea ever. If I'm talking to somebody who's new to TFT and hasn't played a lot of games, I would never look at an early game spot and say to myself, this is an Enforcer game, I'm just going to play Enforcers here. Unless your spot screams Enforcers and you know without a reasonable doubt that you are going to be insanely strong playing around Enforcers for the entirety of the game. Like you have some sort of clear Enforcer spot. That's what I end up having this game. So this is a game where this is an Enforcer game. And I'll explain why. So looking at these early augments, I'm looking to see if I can take something flexible. I'm also scouting to see what everybody else is playing, to see what reroll lines are open if I want to play towards a reroll line. I have shop glitch, so maybe I take shop glitch. That's why I'm checking. Here I hit law enforcements, right? So law enforcement, Enforcers gain 10% attack damage. Every 6 wanted enemy deaths gain 6 gold. So that's fine as it is. I don't think law enforcement is that strong of an augment. It's mostly an econ augment. 10% attack damage isn't that much attack damage. But mainly you're getting 6 gold for every 6 wanted enemy deaths. When you have 2 Enforcer, you get 1 wanted. 4 Enforcer, you get 2 wanted. I think 6 Enforcer, I forget how many you get or whatever. We can double check it actually. So, yeah, 2 Enforcer, you get 1 wanted. 4 Enforcer, you get 2 wanted. And then 6 Enforcer, you get 4 wanteds. So it works really well if you can get to 6 Enforcer, because then you're just going to be proccing it every other round. If not, then you're going to be getting basically 6 gold per stage. So it's not that much gold, especially if you don't have a strong Enforcer spot. Now, why is this a really good Enforcer game? If you watch the units that I had on my bench, I have a Steb pair and I have a Maddie pair. So taking this augment, it gives you a copy of Steb and Maddie. You can see by the animation here, I'm basically getting an instant Maddie 2 and an instant Steb 2. The other thing to note is that this encounter, the encounter for this game is Vander encounter. With Vander encounter, often it's easier to find a spatula because you're sifting through a lot of the gold augments. Now, this isn't something that necessarily is always true, and it's not something you should definitely play towards, but it is something to just take note of, because a lot of the times, if you're playing around a certain trait that spikes very hard around a spatula, then it's often very good to play it in a Vander encounter, or it's a little bit better, as opposed to something like either in Vander or all prismatic. All prismatic is even better because there's less prismatics in the game, so a lot of times you can hit one of the emblems that way. But when you have guaranteed like not seeing silver, you have a higher chance of seeing the emblems. Basically, that's the way you should look at it. Now, the only reason I play around Enforcer here is because I got a Steb upgrade and a Maddie upgrade. So with Enforcers, you want to be very strong on stage 2 and very strong on stage 3, because you want to have a little bit of wiggle room on stage 4 in order to actually make it to level 9. This comp is entirely dependent a lot of the time on Caitlyn. Now, I know people are going to debate whether or not this is true. I don't care. I think that you just have to play more of the game if you don't think that Caitlyn matters a lot for the Enforcer comp. This comp is very hard to stabilize. It is very hard to make things work out. There are lines where you can reroll between Twisted Fate and Loris, but that requires you to have a AP like quick striker reroll. That's not really playing deep into Enforcer, but this TF unit is pretty good and you can reroll with Loris. That is one line. If we're talking about Enforcers in general, I did make a guide on this a while ago, but it still remains the same. Nothing really changed too much with the comp. you basically want to always play around 6 Enforcer. If you have an emblem, it's a little bit easier, and then you could also cap out very high around 8 Enforcer, which just still requires the Caitlyn. You have the inter-team synergy of Sniper, so then you can play around this Caitlyn and this Maddie, but for most of the game, you're going to be playing around this Vi. Now, in terms of the other units you can play, you're just trying to beef up your front line, because you don't have that much front line for a lot of these fights. So a lot of times, you're trying to play anything that synergizes with Enforcer units. Often, some good picks are like things like Elise that gives you Bruiser synergy, Alawi that gives you Sentinel synergy, or something like if you play Camille over somebody, you can play Echo as well. But you want to have some array of frontline units. Often you'll play Mbessa. Mbessa works really well with this comp because she basically gives your whole team armor and MR because of her emissary bonus. Right? If you read her emissary bonus, if you the enemies that you defeat, you get 2 armor and magic resist for each opponent defeated. So a lot of times your board will look something like this, or some rendition of this, right? The Alawi is very flexible to play other units, but what you're trying to do with this comp a lot of times is you're trying to tempo. You want to play as many 5 cost as possible, because similar to like something like Conqueror, the team synergizes really well with different 5 costs. It's very easy to slot them in, namely something like a Rumble and a Savika. This is a type of board where if you hit this board, 6 Enforcer, and you have like a Caitlyn 2, for example, you're almost always winning the game. It is extremely strong. Now the problem is getting there. The problem isn't like that everybody knows this is a strong board. Now, if your lobby is full of people that allow you to play the game and like allow you to get away with murder basically and just like greed all your econ and go straight to level 9, then that's fine. But that's not something that's recreatable. That's that your lobby is not punishing you for playing super greedy. When you play against people that are more competent, they will punish the greedy players because it makes it, you take a lot of risk if you play a comp like this. So a lot of times you can just fizzle out and you just don't stabilize. If you don't find a Caitlyn on level 8 or you don't find a Caitlyn early, a lot of times your board is very, very weak on these early stages, right? Like on stage 4. That's what I mean by you really want to win out early. If you can play it from a spot where you have a lot of HP to work with, then you can kind of sack a lot of your stage 4 in order to give yourself time to hit these units to upgrade, as well as to make it to level 9 or to find a Caitlyn, either or. But typically when you're playing like this, you want to itemize towards a Vi. Vi gets a lot of tankiness from playing 6 Enforcer, so you can actually stabilize pretty hard with some solid tank-ish items. A lot of times you'll see me, I'll put like a Protector's Vow on Vi as well, just to like make her have a little bit more survivability. But because of the tankiness of Enforcer, you don't necessarily need tank items. What you typically want is just damage items. Something like Asterix is good because it gives a lot of AD. Other things that are really good, I've seen people and have really good success with something like Hand of Justice, Infinity Edge, right? Just giving a lot of damage because your Vi needs to like kind of drain tank and do a bunch of healing. If you can sustain your board and just like blink and instantly delete everybody, then you run into a good spot playing around Vi with a lot of damage. But typically you'll make her like kind of like a mixture of like bulk and frontline items. So you'll put something like a Bloodthirster and a Titans on her. This is like less damage overall, but if you're stuck on level 8, it's more safe because a lot of times your Vi needs to survive in order to actually do damage. Because basically, if you look at this board, your board is entirely dependent on Vi tanking and doing damage. So you don't even care about the Enforcer synergy at one point. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's like the Enforcer synergy doesn't matter if your Vi is dead. Because who gains the attack speed? Camille's going to clutch up. Maddie's going to clutch up. The only person that can maybe clutch up is TF, but then you need to be building TF items, which sometimes happens, of course. Like, you can find, like, TF items occasionally because, like, you get stuck with AP items. But, like, nobody's clutching up if your Vi is dead. So you need this Vi to live. So a lot of times, it's, like, a balance of frontline and damage, which makes it very hard to play. That's why I recommend not really playing around Enforcers that often. I think it's a very high roll comp. Now, the reason I'm playing around it is because on stage 2, the augment that I took gives me a Steb and a Maddie upgrade. So I am significantly stronger than the rest of the field because I already have a Trundle upgrade. I have 3 upgraded 1 costs, and I had an IE that I can put on Maddie. Now, in terms of items, a lot of times you want to somewhat build around Caitlyn items, but not really. So you want to build around Vi items first, but eventually you want to build Caitlyn items because Caitlyn is going to be your win condition where you actually like stabilize and you get your top 4. A lot of it is dependent on like even a 1-star Caitlyn just does an insane amount of damage, more damage than anybody else on the board. So a lot of times you're trying to build her because she gets a lot of damage amp from both Sniper and Enforcer. You usually build crit on her. So you try and build multiple glove items. So here I put like Last Whisper IE, but a lot of times you're putting like Last Whisper and like a guard breaker if possible. And then eventually you want to put a mana item on her. The problem is that these items typically you can't really put on the Caitlyn early because you don't have a Caitlyn. And if you put these items and you build items like this and you put them on a Maddie, then you run into a problem of, okay, great, I can't really carry Maddie on stage 4. She's not going to do that much, honestly. She just won't do that much. Sometimes she pops off, but that's usually if your opponents don't have a strong enough board. If you make mana items, you can often put them on TF, and that's what I was saying before. Sometimes with Vi, just having an IE on her is pretty good because it makes her ult crit and she does a lot of damage, so you're boosting the damage of your main damage dealer. But also, she can work as a semi-item holder until you find a Caitlyn, and then you could put other tank items or tankier items on the Vi later once you have the Caitlyn to stabilize your damage. Anyways, that's a little crash course on Enforcers. That's not like the best explanation of everything. It's just because it's a VOD review, so I'm trying to introduce it as well as give you guys a little bit of like, you know, understanding of like what I'm going for and why I'm going for it. But in general, I would not play around Enforcers unless I have a really good Enforcer spot. That's just the end all be all of it. If you look at this, I already have a bunch of whack ass items, just a bunch of tiers, a bunch of rods. So I'm trying to figure out what my best items here are. I'm probably going to end up making a Protector's Vow, and then I'll try and play around the other items afterwards. Protector's Vow is okay on Vi. I think it just works as like a nice tank item or a sustain item. It also helps you to cast earlier, and that's where most of her ability, most of her damage is. So I'm kind of okay with making a Protector's Vow here using these tiers. Technically, the best item on Caitlyn is a blue buff, but I'm not going to make blue buff here because I'm not trying to itemize towards Caitlyn. I'm trying to itemize to stabilize my mid game. If I burn all my tiers and then I'm left with other stuff, you know, I could make a Crown Guard, I could make an Edge of Night. These are all options for units, but I can't have an Edge of Night on Vi because then my front line just gets deleted. I need her to drain tank a little bit later in the game. I can't necessarily make a blue buff because it's not really going to be useful on anybody except for maybe like TF in my mid game. But making a blue buff in hopes of finding a Caitlyn is a very bad mentality to have. So for me, I just go wait till my augment, I'm going to see what these items are, and I'm going to decide on some sort of combat. So Spirit Link is okay. Noble Sacrifice isn't that great. I wonder what my other options were that I rolled. I don't think I had anything that really screamed broken to me. Tower Defense used to be tailored, I think, but now it's not anymore. So I don't know if it is still or not, so I'm not going to take it and risk it. Category 5 I don't think is that useful. I'm kind of okay to just roll all of these and pick between them. I kind of like Item Collector just to give me base stats. I already have a lot of damage amp, and Item Collector is going to give me some AP and AD. So out of all of these, I think I'd rather just take Item Collector. Noble Sacrifice isn't that great because I don't think I'm going to be stacking that much armor and magic resist to get the Noble Sacrifice a big bonus. And then Spirit Link isn't that great. And here's the main thing about this game. I high rolled a Vi. So, you know, high rolling the Vi, very strong, very good. Obviously. But in my mid game, I'm just going to try and play around as many Enforcer units as possible to try and get my procs of the wanted kills to get as much gold as I can. With this game, you're going to see I'm going to try my best to stabilize on level 8. I'm going to spend a lot of time on level 8 before I can make it to level 9, even with a high roll spot like this. But anyways, this is how a lot of Enforcer games go. If you high roll, you can continue a win streak. And if you low roll, you're in a bad spot. But like I said, the main reason I'm playing towards Enforcers, as per before, is because it gave me the Steb and the Maddie upgrade, which allows me to do this win streaking. If I didn't have a Steb and Maddie pair, I would not take Law Enforcements, and I would have taken something else, maybe sell, make Econ, play from lose streak, play a different comp like Scrap or something else. Here I should sell a Camille, by the way, make 50. I didn't. I was too slow. That's my bad. Big mistake there, but hopefully I don't get too punished for it. So we'll see. Anyway, scouting around, this guy's playing around Pit Fighters, which is totally fine. But it means that Vi might be a little bit contested because they might play towards Vertical Pit Fighter if they're playing like Family Reroll or something. Here I'm making this extra Steb. A Steb 3 isn't super important for this line. I'm not trying to hit Steb 3. But the reason I'm holding these extra Stebs is because then I can sell the Steb without having to use a remover. So I can just replace the Steb with another Steb 2. So as long as it's not griefing my Econ, I can hold on to these extra Stebs. And then if I have to switch items, I don't have to use a remover to remove the item off of the Steb. Here my positioning is pretty bad. I should put this Maddie on the opposite side here, because I think I'm probably going to lose this fight. I think it's fine. I sniped the Tristan. I should be able to win. But anyways, this is what I mean by it's a high roll spot, right? Now, part of the high roll is finding the Vi, obviously, but the Vi isn't that important. She's stunning, yes, she's doing a lot of work, but the main part of this board that is doing the most damage is the idea of this Maddie and the Steb tanking and the Maddie doing damage. The main reason I've been streaking so far is because I started the game off in a really good spot where I'm able to push levels, continue to hold units, and play around my upgrades well. And that comes from the augment, giving me the upgraded Steb and the upgraded Maddie, and that's really important. Anyways, speaking of Caitlyn and all of the arcane units, I didn't do the advertisement for my store, but I have my new art store open. So I sell prints and some merch. The merch is just for fun. But if you want to support the channel in a different way, or if you think that you like something, you think that it's a good deal and you want to hang it up in your room, I made this Yukio, Jinx, and Caitlyn style picture. And there's some other ones as well. I'm going to be adding new art every single month, hopefully, because it's going to be convention season soon. So I'm going to have to be doing some art because usually I present at conventions and I sell some stuff there. So all the art that I'm going to do for the next convention, I'll also post here as prints for sale because now I have my store open. But of course, if you want to support the channel for free, a like and a subscribe does wonders, and I'll be very happy with that. So, you know, I'm not trying to solicit too much, but it's just like, hey, if this is something that interests you, you can check it out. So on carousel, I take cloak to make a BT. I'm down to make a BT, play around the tier. I can make a mana item if I really have to. But BT, I just want to have some sustain on this Vi. I already have IE, so I feel like I have a good damage item. I can put the IE on the Vi. Additionally, I could have also gone for a Hodge on carousel, but I didn't really get a pick, right? Because I'm last pick on carousel, because I'm 100 streaking, I kind of needed to just make a Vi item. Here, this guy, raining gold, I think he rolled a little bit. He got Swain 2, Gangplank 2, so he obviously outcaps me, even though I leveled to 7, so it's a little bit awkward. I get my cash out, my 6 gold from law enforcement. And we're just going to try and use this gold as much as we can to try and stabilize and level as much as soon as possible, basically. So I made Bloodthirster. You could argue that I could make other items. You know, Vi's Pit Fighter. You can get Pit Fighter synergy for Omnivam. And you already have IE, so Hodge would work better. But because I was last pick on Carousel, I didn't really get a choice. So I just took the Cloak, right? Take the Cloak, make an item, try to continue my win streak. That was the idea on the Carousel round. A lot of boards now, especially look at this one. This guy's a Renata 3. I'm not sure if we win this one. It just comes down to, I try to position well. Like, my Maddie is on a good side here. If my Maddie snipes this Renata, then I win this round. If she doesn't, I don't win this round. So it is what it is. Yeah, see, like, did you see, like, the Leona was just in the way? So the Leona didn't, so I didn't get to kill the Renata, I don't think. Yeah. It's very close, though, if you look at this. It is remarkably close because if my Maddie cast it a little bit earlier, she would have killed the Renata, and then it would have been Maddie versus this Rel, and I think the Maddie would have popped off. So it's unfortunate. We lose 2 rounds. We're already at 85 HP. So we went from full streaking to being like around the same HP as like 3rd place. So it's a little bit stressful. Here I'm just gonna put all the enforcers in my team planner. Also double check your team planners, chat, all the time because the team planner has some bug that sometimes it doesn't work. Like it doesn't highlight the units. I found that out the hard way where I was rolling. I'm like, why is my team planner working? It's like, oh yeah, it's bugged. My bad. But here, basically, we're just going to probably roll aggressively. I'm either going to 4-1 it or 4-2 it. I think both are valid. I don't think I'm going to 4-1 it because I think I'm relatively uncontested on my units. Like, nobody else is trying to play around enforcers. So I'd rather just give myself the best chance of upgrading my units. Here I can make a Hand of Justice, so I could go Hand of Justice, Bloodthirster, IE as a potential build. I have a lot of rods, so I probably want to make like either a Crown Guard or a Rabadons and then just play around TF maybe. But I think I'm just going to make Hand of Justice here, remove her the items and put them all on the Vi. And then I'm going to make 2 tank items. I'm going to hopefully put them on Loris. I don't have Sundering, I don't have Anti-Heal, but I do have a Rod to play around. So that Rod is going to hopefully turn into Anti-Heal. If I can, I'll make a Morello, and then I can worry about Shred and Sundering afterwards. Typically with this comp, you're mostly doing AD damage, so you need to prioritize your Sundering more so than your Shredding. So this guy already rolled down to 0, basically. He's trying to play like Emissary Sorks. I don't know if we can win this round because this Garen's going to be hard to deal with, but we are on this person's backline, so there is a chance we can win. Like, if we just have enough damage here, but probably not. So much of Enforcers, now that we're getting into these later game fights, it's a lot harder earlier game that I didn't want to talk about it too much. But something that you'll notice is that you really have to position well in order to get your Enforcer procs. Getting the Enforcer proc a lot of times is make or break whether or not you are going to actually pop off. Here, Bad Luck Protection is actually pretty good. I might have taken Bad Luck Protection, but I might just take Mace's Will for the item. Yeah, I might just take Mace's Will for the item. I think that's a good pick. I think both are fine, but I think just having an extra component to play around is a little bit better. Because now with a glove, I have a chance to make a Last Whisper. So that's why it's really good. So here, I'm just going to be buying units and swapping them in. I found a Mordekaiser. I still need to find my 6th Enforcer unit, which is Camille. I didn't put Camille in, so that's going to be really bad if I don't put her in very soon. But this is the problem a lot of times with this comp, right? If you look at this board, this is my board on my roll down. Now, it's a very expensive board. I have my 4 cost. I have my 5 cost. Does this board look like it's going to win out on stage 4? Imagine if I was low HP. This board does not look like a win out board. Now, I found a Vi 2. So, Vi 2 is good. I sell. I put in LeBlanc. I need to put in a Camille here. That's a huge mistake. So, I put in this LeBlanc because I thought I was already 6 Enforcer. Because usually I only play this comp when I have an emblem. And I'm streaming, so I'm just not paying attention. But this is like you know, this is just me being dumb. It's like, yeah, I should have just put in the Camille. So my bad, I forgot. I find this Pit Fighter guy. He has Savika, and he's holding Vi. I don't know what he's doing, but he's gonna probably play around Vi because he leveled to 8. He's not playing around Pit Fighter with the what's it called? With the what's her name? Violet, like 1 cost Violet reroll. So this is another round that we're probably gonna lose. This is because I just didn't have 6 Enforcer in, so that's my bad. I probably win this with 6 Enforcers, so this was a throw by me. So always put that into consideration. I have this Mordekaiser that I might be able to play around, but I don't think so. I also didn't slam my items fast enough because I need to rearrange everything. This is just a very sloppy couple rounds. But I think it's mostly just like the panic of like not hitting. I rolled very deep for this Vi basically. Yeah, now I should just remove her. IE, blood. Ooh, is that good enough? I think that's fine. And then Bloodthirster on another dude. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think it's a debate whether or not I put Protector's Vow or I put IE. I like whether I put Protector's Vow or I put Bloodthirster. I personally like. I shouldn't make this. I need that for Last Whisper and Morello. Those two components. I like to have Protector's Vow because what you want is you want this Vi to cast early in order to kill the unit early enough to get the Enforcer proc. The way Enforcers work is that as soon as you kill a unit, you get this 30% attack speed bonus, and that's where they start to pop off. Because you kill 1 unit, you kill 2 units, you kill 3 units, that's how you steamroll your opponent. The biggest problem with Enforcer when you're playing in this mid game is that if you don't have enough damage, even with 6 Enforcer, even with 8 Enforcer, if you don't kill the first unit fast enough, your units don't pop off, and things just fall apart very fast. And if they fall apart entirely, then you're just sitting there and you just lose the game. So for me, I want this Vi to cast as early as possible, more so than I care about having like the extra stats and extra Omnifam from the what's it called? The thing. Yeah, I should just take bow here. Bow or belt. Both are fine. So I take belt here because it's a 1 cost belt. But bow or belt is both fine because I don't think I got dropped any bows. And I don't think I got dropped any belts. So statistically, I should be okay to get both of them from item drops, ideally. But I want to make Morello and I want to make Last Whisper. So I make Morello first, just to sort out my components. I can put on TF or Ambessa, just like you can stack it on Ambessa. She's not the greatest spreader of it, but TF is pretty good to spread around Morello. But yeah, this is just my board for now. But what I was trying to say is that if you don't get the Enforcer proc early, things fall apart really fast. This guy just also high rolled straight into like a Vi 2, which is really unfortunate for me, which is fine, but like, you know, he's kind of holding all the units. He's holding Ambessa as well. But I'm 64 HP here. This is the part where we have to decide if we're going 9 to find Caitlyn or if our game is completely screwed and we're just going to sit here and lose the game. So I'm playing this Mordekaiser just as a +1. I could play another synergy like a Bruiser or a Sentinel, but I'm hoping that this Mordekaiser as a 5 cost is going to help out my board enough in order to win some of these fights. But as you can see, we're losing against pretty much everybody. This is a problem with Enforcer a lot of times. Your board like is just not super stable. It's really expensive to stabilize, and then you can't like fast 9. right? Me trying to go 9 here is a huge mistake. I need to roll for maybe Mbessa 2. I need to roll for maybe like a Sentinel upgrade or a Bruiser upgraded in order to replace this Mordekaiser. Here, Anomaly, Center of the Universe is really good. I probably should have taken it, but I'm looking mostly for something for Vi to keep this Vi alive. So much, like, Last Chance, it's okay, but I don't want Last Chance. Dual Wielding's okay. I want something that helps this Vi live. I want either Omnivamp or, like, a lot of armor, like Bulwark, or, like, something crazy. Like, this is okay, but I need her to have it up front more so. I'm rolling really deep here because I know that this is, like, really critical whether or not I get it. So I just take this giant sized. I'm not sure if I skipped one. I wasn't paying attention at the beginning. But basically what I want is I either want a bunch of armor for this Vi, a bunch of HP for this Vi, or a bunch of Omnivamp for this Vi. I don't want more damage because I already have IE Hodge, so I think my damage is okay. I already have a bunch of damage amp because of the Enforcer trait. And I just want to have a lot of, like, sustain, right? My Vi is basically the only unit on this board that matters right now. If you look at this board, it's a bunch of Chuckle Fucks. These guys do nothing. None of these units do anything. The only unit that matters right now is this Vi. That's why it's so dependent on finding a Caitlyn later. If I don't find a Caitlyn eventually, this is going to be a guaranteed 8th. So right now, the thing that I need the most is this Vi to live. If this Vi lives, the Vi will get so much attack speed from the Enforcer procs, especially with 6 Enforcer, that I will be able to win out, right? The Vi will clutch the round so long as the Vi lives long enough. In the last couple of rounds, the reason that I lost was because the Vi was dead. As soon as the Vi dies, the round is over. So all that matters to me when I'm looking for these anomalies is something to help this Vi sustain and survive. So 100,000 HP, it's not that great, but it's okay. I wouldn't say it's that good, but compared to the other ones, I want it up front, right? Because, like, there's one that gives you like 12 HP every couple seconds. That one's not as good because it's going to be significantly less HP up front. If I could, I would have taken something like Stone Skin, would have been amazing. Just like, because, like, you know, the early, like, you know, the Vi not getting bursted down early in the match is really important. And now I'm also going to roll. I'm going to roll for upgrades, right? I need to find either, like, a Sentinel. I found a Pit Fighter, so I'll just play Pit Fighter to help out the Vi. I'm kind of having to give up on this dream, even though I'm Mordekaiser paired. I don't think I'm going to hit Mordekaiser 2. I'm rolling for Sentinel or Bruiser, but I'm probably just going to settle on Pit Fighter. I just need something to help out my front line. So here, I found a Savika. That's fine. I'll just play Savika, a little bit better than Gangplank. If I had a Gangplank 2, maybe I'll swap the Gangplank 2 in for the Savika. But as you can see here, I have to make the decision, hey, I might not go first this game. I have to roll really deep here, try and find either an upgrade or something, right? Mbessa 2, some sort of extra unit besides Mordekaiser to play. Hopefully I hit like Gangplank 2. That's what I was rolling really deep for. Because if I don't get something on my board, there's a good chance that I just go bot 4. The way this round has been going, I've been losing every single round on stage 4. Thank God I had an HP lead, because if I didn't, like, I'd already be going 8th. And that's a lot of times what happens in Enforcer. You're very unstable, and you kind of have to greed to go to level 9. That's why I say, like, you really need to have a good opener for it. My opener was very good for it, and as you can see here, I rolled a bunch of gold. I rolled twice on level 8. I did not see a Caitlyn. I even 4-2'd. I didn't even 4-1 it to try and keep a streak. I wasn't very, I wasn't using my gold in a bad way. I was using it on a good interval. And I saved an extra round. And we're still in, like, you know, what looks like dire straits to me. Now, of course, this comp has a huge win-out potential. So here, I have to either make Even Shroud or Last Whisper. So I'm kind of deciding whether or not I think Even Shroud or Last Whisper is a little bit better. I kind of like Last Whisper, just because, like, Even Shroud, if it dies and you lose it, I can put Last Whisper on a backline unit, whether it's Maddie or TF. So, or I can even put on Mbessa if I hit Mbessa too. So I make Declaw here, just for frontline item, and then I'm gonna make Last Whisper. So now my utility is all dealt with. I have anti-heal, I have in the form of the Morello, and I have Shredded Sunder, or sorry, I have Sundering, which is really important here for the Vi. I put on Mbessa. I think it's probably better to just put on TF just so it's a little bit safer. TF doesn't apply it super well, but nor does Mbessa, but it just keeps it alive longer because this Mbessa might just die randomly. But as you can see here, this is why I gave this Vi a bunch of HP and I wanted defensiveness, right? Look at my whole board. My whole board is dying, but this Vi is going to clutch up, right? When the Vi gets all the Enforcer procs, this Vi just pops off. That's it, right? 10k damage done. right? All that matters is this Vi surviving. That's why I really like Protector's Vow. I know some of you might look at it and say like, oh, you should just put Bloodthirster on her. It's like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't give a fuck. I think Protector's Vow is better in this spot. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm down to be wrong. I'm down to just not know what I'm talking about. Protector's Vow just feels so good on Vi whenever I put it on her, because she the Protector's Vow helps her to cast earlier. So she casts earlier, she gets the giant stun off. With the stun, she stalls out the team, gives herself time to heal, gives herself time to get her footing back, and a lot of times her early cast kills one of the units, so you get the Enforcer proc instantly. Getting the Enforcer proc earlier is so important, right? Like, look, boom, dead unit, ready, and then she's gonna be ready for a second cast, right? Bang, Enforcer proc. Now we get the attack speed. Now I think I lose this because of how many stuns this person has, by the way. This is like a QSS thing. This sucks. Yeah. Like, what happened is, that's why Trenchcoat's really good on the Vi, but I was just getting chain CC'd, right? Because there was so many Vi's that I had to kill, and then all the Vi's basically were stunning my Vi, and then the Ambessa did the final stun, and then I just got bursted down by the multiple pit fighters because I just got take a lot of true damage. But I get more gold here. Now I'm trying to decide if I go 9 or not. Again, I have to make this decision. As you can see, it's not really a fast 9 here. My spot was never good to fast 9. I'm just trying to make sure that I guarantee my placements. I'm very low HP, right? If I, like, it doesn't look like it, but if I lose 1 or 2 rounds, I'm instantly in a spot where I can go 7th or 6th or 8th. So I have to decide here. I'm looking around. I'm trying to think, okay, should I roll? As you can see, I'm rearranging the positioning of my Vi. The reason I'm moving my Vi over is because I saw a lot of units that looked like absolute monsters. So as you can see here, I rearranged my Vi. I got Enforcer proc. Instead of putting my Vi on the Urgot, where the Urgot might burst it down and kill it, I wanted to make sure that my Vi got an Enforcer proc by killing the unit on the left of the Urgot, which had enough HP. So I got my Enforcer proc early, and I got my attack speed, and that worked out. I could easily lose this round if I have everybody focus firing the Urgot, because if I don't get the attack speed bonus, and I don't kill the Urgot early, then I might never get the Enforcer proc, my Vi might get bursted down, and then I lose the round. It's very important when you're playing Enforcers. Every single round, you have to scout and see which units you can kill. Of the units that you can kill, you have to think which ones has the most HP, and you have to position in such a way that you get the Enforcer proc as early as possible. Now, here's where the game kind of changes. So this whole time, I'm kind of like trying to figure out, okay, can I win? Can I lose? You know, I didn't roll down because I scouted my boards, and I said, okay, I think I can beat these players. I think even if I roll down, I lose to those other players anyways, right? Like Renata, for example. I didn't think if I rolled down and hit Ambessa 2, I have a chance of beating Renata anyways, because that's pretty much all I'm rolling for is TF2, Renata 2. But now, we just go straight to 9. I have Enforcer emblems, so now with 1 Caitlyn, I basically put myself in a game-winning spot, and GG. That's it. The game's over now. So I'm kind of half joking about it, but 8 Enforcer are just so strong, and now I have Caitlyn as a second damage dealer, so I can eventually transfer items over to this Caitlyn. I can maybe greed 1 or 2 rounds, but basically, the items that are on Vi, I can rearrange them such that they're on Caitlyn later in this game. And Caitlyn, because she's a backline unit, she's not going to take that much, like, aggro, and with 8 Enforcer, she's going to do so much damage and have so much attack speed that she's basically just going to kill everybody. But now we're in a spot where, okay, we can win the game here. But that's because I was able to make it to 9. I went straight to 9 because I had the Enforcer emblem, so I rolled around 30 gold on level 9, looking for 1 Caitlyn. It's not that bad, the odds, to find 1 Caitlyn, but at the same time, I hurt my max cap a little bit. Now, it was just a decision because, like, you know, the other alternative is that I stay level 8 for 2 turns, and I go to level 9 in 2 turns now. If I had more HP, I would have waited 2 turns to guarantee that I can try and find a Caitlyn 2 a little bit more easily. And there's also an argument that if I didn't see the Enforcer emblem, I might have rolled there for Ambessa 2. Just to stabilize my board to try and make sure that I got a top 4. But now, I just leveled. I'm just going to try and find some units. I found a Victor. So Victor, I think, is going to be better than Sentinel on whole board. Rumble is really good because he does upgrade into the later game. But Ambessa, I think, gives a little bit more... Like, Rumble's better late game, of course. Like, I'm not saying that Rumble isn't a better unit in these spots. But for me, at least, I think that, what's it called? Ambessa works a little bit better. Ambessa gives more armor to everybody. That's what I'm trying to get at. So I think Ambessa, if I'm trying to think about late game cap, it just comes down to if my Rumble has items and if I hit a Rumble too. So that's why I'm prioritizing Victor and Ambessa over Rumble. However, if you have a Rumble earlier Like if I had a Rumble on stage 4, for example, that I knew I was going to get multiple upgrades on this Rumble, then I would play Rumble over the Embessa already. But as you can see, I'm still holding on to Rumble because I'm going to do a roll down right after this Dragon. After this Dragon, I'm going to roll. If I hit Embessa 2, I keep Embessa 2. If I hit Rumble 2, I keep Rumble 2. That's basically how it's going to come down. That's basically what it's going to come down to. Now I sacrifice 1 or 2 turns. I don't get my Rumble upgrade, so it's a little bit unoptimal. But I think it's fine. Additionally, you can see I'm holding a Savika on bench. If I hit Savika 2, I'll play Savika 2. The last unit is going to be pretty flexible. And here, I'm going to be looking to hopefully rearrange my items a little bit. I probably want to put IE on Caitlyn. I also want a mana generation item on Caitlyn here, so hopefully we can find one of those. So as you can see, we're rolling a little bit of gold here. I get the 6 gold for the wanted kills, and there's 5 wanted units when you have 6 enforcers. So basically every round I'm getting around 6 gold. So as you can see, rearrange the items, bang, bang. Who cares about this Embessa? We put IE on Caitlyn, Last Whisper on Caitlyn, synergize all our crit items. Then we put full sustain on the Vi because the Vi is gonna live now. And we don't care because we have extra damage in the form of Caitlyn. Enforcer gives us a huge amount of damage on this Vi, so we don't care too much about the Vi having to do damage. We just care about her being our front line. And Caitlyn's going to clean up. Caitlyn's going to clean up everybody. If you look at the damage report at the end of the fight, you'll see that Caitlyn just does the most damage a lot of the time. We also have Victor, which helps us to stall, which is really good for our team because, you know, as you can see, our board is still dying because we can't kill some of these frontline units. But Caitlyn should clutch up, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there you go. If you look at the damage report, Caitlyn now without damage items on Vi, the Caitlyn's doing all the damage, which is fine. We're Caitlyn paired, so we're just going to keep rolling until we find a Caitlyn 2. We found Rumble 2, so like I said before, if you hit Rumble, I'm just going to get rid of this Embessa. Play around Sentinel instead of having the Embessa carry. That's fine. Rumble's going to be able to clutch up for sure, so that's fine. TF with the Morello maybe can be placed a little bit better. As you can see, I'm just trying to find positioning for my Caitlyn in such a good in an okay spot. Here I'm not sure where the enemies are and stuff, so I just gotta put my Vi a little bit in the back line. Just because I don't want her to get stunned instantly, right? That's the idea. I just don't want her to get stunned instantly by the other Vi player, right? And the Embessa and all of that. So I'm like, I want to have some breathing room, a little bit of breathing room before I delete everybody. And then here, you know, they're clumped, so Caitlyn has like an AoE effect. We just instantly bursted down everybody. Like I said, with 8 Enforcer and a Caitlyn, we're probably just gonna win out from here. We also hit the Caitlyn too, so it's actually just GG a lot of the time. This Caitlyn with 8 Enforcer is gonna do so much damage, and that's a lot of how you play Enforcer, right? Now, obviously, I high rolled the emblem. If you don't have an emblem, it's the same game plan. You want to make it to level 9, so you can roll for at least 1 Caitlyn to stabilize, and then if you don't have a 1 Caitlyn, you're kind of screwed, and it's very risky for most of your mid game, and you can often lose to very strong boards. But eventually, if you hit a Caitlyn 2, then you're in like a win condition state. So it's very dependent on like high roll, and you have to have a really good opener, right? A lot of the reason why I'm able to make it to 9, I was able to delay my level 9 to strengthen my board and save HP because I started out the game with such a good spot for Enforcer. I started the game out with so much HP because I won most of my early stages. As you can see, this Caitlyn is just deleting everybody. The fight lasts like 2 seconds. As soon as I kill 1 unit, you get the attack speed bonus. You just steamroll everybody. And additionally, every round, pretty much every round, I get 6 gold. So I have a lot of gold to convert this into a win, which is how I'm steamrolling everybody as well, right? Because once you get 8 Enforcer, you get the extra, what's it called? You get the extra wanted units that you can use to do a bunch, to to proc the first augment that I have. The first augment gives me 6 gold every 6 wanted kills. Victor does help out a little bit. There's maybe 1 or 2 fights that were a Victor diff. But here, they basically have no chance, I would say. With a Caitlyn 2, 8 Enforcer, the Caitlyn targets everybody. You can't even hide from her. She has, like, you know, she just drops bombs. It's crazy. So this Caitlyn unit, she's kind of like, meh. Here I'm greeting. Maybe I go 10. I can play Embessa. Just get extra emissary bonus if in case I lose a fight. But as you can see, one of the wanted enemies is going to die. I get the Enforcer proc. My whole team pops off. This Caitlyn's just going to delete everybody. It's fine. Right? Like, look, it's not even close. And that's how it happens a lot. That was an Enforcer game. I don't like to play around Enforcers often, but that's usually a spot where you can see that it's really good. Plus 32 for a first. Woohoo! But, you know, we're climbing. It's good. But as you can see, like a lot of this game was very dodgy, right? There were probably some optimizations, especially on this level. Maybe I should have played like Sentinel a little bit earlier back here, right? I could have played Bruiser a little bit earlier back over here, or even Pit Fighter. But like a lot of these fights where it's just stage 4 and I'm just losing every single fight, it makes it very awkward. It's very easy to just like go 8th with this comp, right? And this is an example where I kind of high rolled, right? Like if you look at this board, right? Like look at my board here, right? I'm 50 HP, right? I have this board. I got an Enforcer emblem, and that's why I went into a first. But like, was I really gonna place top 3 with this board? This is with a Vi 2, by the way. Right? Like, this is with a Vi 2. Like, that's pretty high roll. It's very unlikely to hit an upgraded unit on level 8 that fast. This is with a Vi 2. Do you see what I mean? Like, imagine if it was a Vi 1. Aren't I just instant 8th? It's crazy. But anyways, it's a very strong comp. But that's why I always stress with people, when you're trying to play around Enforcers, make sure you have a really good spot for it. You either have to have a bunch of gold, you have to be high rolling, you want a bunch of gold, a bunch of HP. That only happens if you have a really good early game. So you want to make sure that your early game is strong. You don't want to play this comp from behind. It's very hard to win out with it unless you high roll into a Caitlyn. Obviously, there's augments that give you the Caitlyn. There's augments that give you the units that you need that help out a little bit. But of course, when I was thinking about today and doing a VOD review, I was looking at this game because originally I had this game and I was going to do a Fast 9 tutorial. I'm still working on it. The problem is I just haven't Fast 9'd in any of my games that I can show you guys. Like, I feel like if I make a tutorial on this is how you Fast 9 and I don't have a video that shows you how to Fast 9, I feel like it's going to be like not as informative if you're a beginner player. So I'm trying to find a game where I can Fast 9, but I'm telling you now, don't Fast 9 unless you're really strong. You saw this game. I could have maybe Fast 9'd at one point. Like, you could argue that I just don't roll deeper for upgrades. I just sack all my HP. But then what if you roll on level 9 and you don't find the Caitlyn? Like, there's a chance you low roll. And then if you low roll, you have no, like, bearings, right? So I was trying to bridge the gap of, like, okay, let me delay going 9 here to make sure that I upgrade some units, right? Upgrade Loris, upgrade TF, upgrade Ambessa potentially, upgrade, like, you know, even on level 8, if I find, like, you know, extra units that have good synergies, like a Gangplank 2 or something else like that, right? Like anything that can play on my board to give me synergies to stabilize a little bit is very important with this comp, because stabilize on level 8 is very hard a lot of the times, unless you have like insane augments. And my augments aren't super insane, but they're all right. Like, you know, I'm getting some extra stats, and then eventually, you know, we get to that point where we're just winning anyways. Now, obviously, it's 8 Enforcer, and I found a Caitlyn. If I didn't have 8 Enforcer, I probably would have sacked 2 turns and then go 9 to try and find Caitlyn. Or if I lost a round, then I would just roll it to 0. That's kind of like the idea that I had there, right? I felt like I rolled enough gold. I stabilized. I'm cashing out my gold, right? I'm 70 gold here, right? After the carousel, if there wasn't an Enforcer emblem, I would basically just wait a turn. I'm 38 HP. If I lose 1 round, I send it to 0 to try and find upgrade and try and play for a 4th. If not, I sack the last 2 rounds of the stage in order to make it to level 9. And then on level 9, I roll like 50 gold. Hopefully I find a Caitlyn. Hopefully I find some sort of 5 cost or a 5 cost upgrade if I'm really lucky. And then I stabilize around that. And then I get my guaranteed top 4. And that's usually what happens. A lot of times, your board is going to look really, really strong for most of the game. And then at one point, other people are going to hit their units. You're going to lose every single round. And then it just comes down to you finding a Caitlyn. That's like your next big power spike when you're playing Enforcers. But anyways, also, like this is really important always. Position around killing a unit first, right? These are all wanted enemies. I could position my Vi in front of the Urgot, but then I'm not getting my wanted proc early, and it gives the Urgot time to burst down my Caitlyn. Burst down my Vi. Instead, I place my Vi right in front of this shitter, instantly crit him, instantly delete him with the IE Hodge, boom, get my Enforcer proc, and now I pop off. That's like a really important thing when you're playing Enforcers. But anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully that was an enjoyable video. I know it's another VOD review. I'm trying to work on guides. It's just been a little bit hectic for me. So, you know, hopefully next week I'm going to try and make a proper stream schedule as well as a proper upload schedule, which I'm going to post ahead of time. So stay tuned for that. That's going to happen. So basically, like, this is like my little weekend off I'm kind of taking. So it's probably going to be a VOD review tomorrow as well. Or a guide. We'll see if I have time. But thank you for watching. Have a great day and see ya. Bye-bye.